Hello, in case you're just getting on right this instant here, this is the part where I start the stream and then I look over on the other PC over here to make sure that it's actually working. So just hold that thought for a second. I see something happening. I see something happening. Hold on. I'm drinking professionally, so it's okay. Even though it is lunchtime, what can I tell you? All right, let's see. What happens? What? Shh, hold on. Yay! It's working. It's working. All right. So this is where I mute the other screen here, and I say, "Hey, welcome everyone to Cooking with Linux Without a Net." And in theory, if this is working the way that I think it's working, like my face is kind of big on the screen, but you're looking at my OBS Studio. That's not my OBS Studio specifically. It's OBS Studio, and since this is brought to you by the very kind and wonderful and amazing people at Linux Journal, by the way, that would be, in case you're not paying any attention, linuxjournal.com, www.linuxjournal.com. While you're there, make sure that you scroll way down to the bottom there and see that link that says subscribe, 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 be a subscriber of Linux Journal. And they have all sorts of cool Linux and open source stuff that you are going to want to keep up with. And you know you want to. And up at the top here, it says become a patron. See that? That's the Patreon page for Linux Journal. And oops, you know what? I do this every time, don't I? Okay, I'm going to pause for a second here, okay? This is where I pause. This is where I transition back to the not me on the screen part. And I do this bit. Ready? Here we go. See, that's the problem with not watching what's happening on the other screen and not, being totally aware of what's going on. But like I said, Linux Journal, thank you so much to Linux Journal for making this possible. And like I said, take a look at the top there where it says become a patron. See that? Okay, go up to where it says become a patron and you'll see that there are all sorts of neat things that you can do to become a patron of Linux Journal. And let me see, be a patron, become a patron. There we go, become a patron. And if you take a look, there are actually numbers. There's actually a way for you to become a patron through here and get a monthly subscription to Linux Journal. So this is a very, very, very good way of doing it. And of course, if you feel so inclined, you can also go to, this one here, Marcel on Patreon, okay? All right, cool. And of course, if you want to follow my Cooking with Linux stuff on the web, cookingwithlinux.com. And today, we are going to start over here, okay? Oh, by the way, if you happen to be in the channel, and you're live in the channel, you know how this works. Say hi, take a moment, pop in, and, make your presence known. Here, let's do that again. I'm going to minimize this for a second here. Go to nonet.cookingwithlinux.com. And I'm going to just transition one more time before I make my face go away for the next little while here. And like I said, if you're in the channel, say hi, become a part of the conversation, say something, ask questions, be part of what's happening. And on that note, there we go. On that note, I have to ask you a question. This has nothing to do with Linux specifically, but a few days ago, I picked up one of these things. I don't even know where to go for this thing, so let me just go. Oculus Go at Amazon. There we go. I picked up one of these things, an Oculus Go headset at Amazon.com a few days ago. And I am kind of curious. Hey, Present Arms! Nice to see you. Welcome to the channel. I am curious to find out how many of you are actually using virtual reality headsets, and if there isn't some funky way that we could incorporate one of these things into a Cooking with Linux show. I'm just throwing that out there. I have no idea. I mean, I really don't. I'm not entirely sure how we would pull this off or how we make this happen, but I thought I'd throw it out there. Okay, so today we are going to work on remote administration. A free upgrade is available for this Linode. Really? Click here for more information. It goes from 30 gigabytes to 50 gigabytes. All right, awesome. But I'm not going to do it right now, and I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to mess up. I don't want to mess up what I'm doing here. So okay, so this particular Linode, the reason I go to Linode, and it is actually one of the reasons I go to Linode, is it's a cheap way to fire up and build a Linux machine that we can, do testing with, do things on it. Kuria, welcome! Nice to have you. You should do a video on Optimus GPUs and Linux. About to throw a laptop out the window. Seriously? Seriously, I would like to know why you're about to throw a laptop out the window in favor of a virtual reality headset. Maybe you can throw that out there and explain it for me. Okay, so I've built this machine on Linode, and actually I built it a little while ago, so it's actually been sitting out there. But let's go over to the window where I've got this thing operating, okay? If I go ifconfig, you're going to notice that this box is sitting at 45.33.91.104. And I've actually used this box for testing before. It's kind of a throwaway machine where I do a whole bunch of different things on it. But as you know, with any of these machines, actually, let's just take a look here, lsb-release, because I'm pretty sure this is, 1604 Xenial. We could do an update on it. I'm not going to do an update on it right now because I want to do something entirely different. If you want to administer one of these machines, of course, we can all be command line gurus, right? We can all do everything at the command line because we know how to do this stuff. We're smart, we're with it, we're hip, we're happening, and so on. But I want to show you Webmin, if you've never seen Webmin before. Webmin is a way to administer your entire Linux system directly from the web through a web interface. And rather than going into huge amounts of detail about what this is and how it works, let's actually just make it happen, okay? I haven't actually downloaded this yet. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to the, let me see, I'm going to close this because it's in my way. We are going to go over to that box over here, and I'm going to go links, and I'm going to go http://webmin.com. And personally, I think this should be in the repositories, but for some strange reason, it is not in the repositories. Let me see. Oops. Download. Installing on Debian. Okay, download Virtualmin 1.881. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Download Debian package, which of course takes us to, this is by the way a link over to, at that point it's actually downloading from, where's it downloading from? It's downloading from, I could do it over here. Let's find out. If I say download and I say Debian package, there we go. It actually goes to SourceForge. That's what I thought. Okay, so it's actually downloading the package from SourceForge. So we're just going to say save virtualmin, and this isn't going to take a humongously long time. In fact, if I say Q right here, the thing is already downloaded. See that? Okay. Whoops. RM Frantica. We don't need that. We did that for a previous show. We don't need that one. Let's not confuse things, shall we? dpkg-I to install this thing. Webmin 1.881, and we just let the magic of that happening. BBS Witch. I don't even know what that means. Can't get Prime to work. Really? Well, we're going to have to figure that one out. Okay, sorry. Oh, look, there's some packages that are missing. If this happens to you, by the way, if you go and you download a package from somewhere and there are things that are missing, it says, hey, I can't install it because of these various things. What you do is you go apt-get-f install, okay? And what that will do is it will look at the packages that haven't been fully installed, like Webmin in this case, and it's going to go out and it's going to find the missing packages for you. So if I do this, it'll come up and say, hey, here are the things that you need to fully finish installing Webmin, which didn't work for you. And you say yes, and that's how easy it is to actually. So when you run into a package and it tells you, hey, I couldn't install it because it wasn't something in the repositories. Things in the repositories should never run into this. But things that you install from another website, like in this case, webmin.com, sometimes will cause you some grief. Excuse me while I take a sip of my wine. Drinking white today, by the way. It's a California white. Setting up Webmin. Okay, so just, while I'm waiting for this to finish up here, just for, webmin.com. This is where you find it, okay? And, oh, there we go. We've done it. All right, so now, if we take a look, it says you can now log into HTTPS localhost 10,000, okay? That is the port that, the system uses. Let me see, and by default, that's what Webmin actually uses, okay? So let me go over to here. We'll use this one here, and I will go nonet.cookingwithlinux.com, and then I'm going to go 10,000, port 10,000. Oh, there we go, because it's an HTTPS. Your connection is not secure. You know why this is, right? This is because we do not have a certificate, like a valid certificate on this thing. I know that this connection is not, doesn't have a valid certificate because I installed the machine. So it's my own machine, so it's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. Nevertheless, this can be quite annoying when you see this pop up. And it's not that it's not secure. It's not that it's not a certificate that you have that you've purchased, like an official certificate. And by the way, to get certificates without having to spend a lot of money, go to let'sencrypt.com. I won't do this right now. Maybe we should do that in one of the shows in the future, because there's a fair bit to this. But if you go to let'sencrypt.com, this is a completely free certificate authority, and automated and open. And you can actually install a certificate for your machine and have it check on a regular basis in a cron tab, and it will update and install certificates for you. It's really cool, and it's free. So instead of having to go to to Network Solutions or wherever it is you go for these things and spending $60-$70 or more, a couple $100 sometimes for a certificate, you can just get one here free, and it works. So like I said, we should do a show on let'sencrypt.org. I won't spend a lot of time on it today, but I should show you how this works on another show. It is really exciting. It's a great, it's a really cool thing to do. So I'm just going to leave that for now, but that's the certificate issue, okay? So on Webmin, so we'll go back to Webmin. Oh, there we go. The privacy error. Yeah, proceed. I'm good. I know. There we go. Okay, so now we've got the opening screen for Webmin, okay? And here we're going to log in as root. And this is going to be interesting because I'm not sure I remember the root password that I made for this machine. And you're going to say, well, how did you log in? How did you log in? Well, I logged in like this. If you do an ls.ssh, there's a file here that says cat authorized keys. So if I go to cat.ssh, sorry, and I go .ssh authorized keys, see, I've got my keys here, and they exist on the system, and it basically says, look, if I want, I can log into this machine without actually using a password. So I'm going to try a password, and if it turns out that it's the wrong password, I'll just change it. All right, let's see, does that work? Does that work? Is this the right password? No, it's the wrong password. Curses! Let's try it one more time, shall we? I may have to change it after all. It's going to be one of a small handful of passwords that I use for test systems. No! Don't remember. Curses! Curse you, Perry the Platypus. Curse you. All right, let's do this. Passwd. All right, PSSWD. Yes, I'm still on NoNet. Enter new Unix password. And we're going to make this a super secret password. SUPERSECRET. There we go. All right, super secret password. Do not try this at home, kids. Super secret password, SUPERSECRETPASSWD. It's like a really super secret password. And here we are with the Webmin interface. This is the default theme for the modern Webmin interface, and it's actually really pretty cool. And it responds real time. So of course, if I'm doing things on the system, you can see the CPU utilization, the memory that's being used by the system, virtual memory. Of course, this is what we sometimes call swap, local disk space on the system, and basically a snapshot of what's on the system. And what's really cool about this, we can change the theme. I'm not going to do this because, and I will tell you this right now, I have run into real problems changing the theme. Although it's something that you're supposed to be able to do and it's supposed to happen easily and on the fly, it doesn't always work the way that you think it's going to work. And that terrifies me just a little tiny bit. That terrifies me just a little tiny bit. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Okay, so what sorts of things can we do on here? Well, for instance, we can update packages on the system. Everything is broken up into different things. Backup configuration on the system. These are Webmin configurations. We can also create other Webmin users. You know how right now we've got root to log into the system, and root can do absolutely everything. One of the first things you might want to do if you've got Webmin, especially if what you've decided is you want to make it possible for somebody to start and stop various services on your system, but you don't want to give them full root access. You don't want to give them full root access. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go over to System, Users, and Groups, and this is where we would create a new group. Now, I don't have any system users here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new user. And let me see, users and groups, create a new user. So we're going to create a new user on the system. The username on this one is going to be Francois. Francois, my poor waiter who just hasn't been paid in ages. Poor Francois. All right, bin sh, we're going to go bin bash, and we're going to say automatic. In other words, it'll create a home directory for him. And I'm going to say normal password, and I'm going to give him a password of I'm going to give him a password of more wine. Yes, I know. You guys are watching this, and I shouldn't be doing anything like that, but yeah. This is just for demonstration, okay? This won't be here when you check it later. I can see some people going, well, I can log in right away as Francois. Please. Sorry, I apologize for the maniacal laugh there. I don't even know what happened there. I don't know what happened. All right, so we're going to say, so this is it. Just create, okay? So we're creating a new user. And if I want to now, like if I go back down to this shell here, and I go and take a look here, I'm going to find out that, I'm going to go su, so I'm going to go su space Francois, and, Francois, and you'll see that Francois, no password entry for user Francois. What? Okay, did I miss something along the way here? Francois, users, home Francois. Oh, Francois, oh my God, I spelled Francois wrong. Francois, I am so sorry. Stuart, good to have you aboard. Thanks for joining us. I spelled Francois wrong. This is awful. Poor Francois. All right, that explains why that doesn't work. All right, we're going to change it to Francois, FRN. I'm going to say save. God, I'm going to have to apologize to that mythical waiter of mine. Shall we try that again? Let me see. You know what? I'm going to say quit. I'm going to get some of these things out of the way here. Let me see. I'm going to delete this completely. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to say yes. We don't want that right now because it's going to hold things up. All right. I don't want to kill my system in the background here. Okay. So Francois, let's go back to that shell prompt here. Now, if I say su space Francois, there we go. Now it works. Spelling is hard. You ever notice what I use? This is what I use in my signature. This is a small distraction, but in my signature, this is what I use. My .sig goes like this, okay? I go, note, this massage was not spiel or grammar. This massage was not spiel or grammar checkered. I have been using this in my .sig for decades. For as long as I've been writing email, I've been putting that in there. Because I'm a writer, I don't use spell check. Do I trust Webmin? Nick, welcome. Lance, welcome. Glad to have you aboard. I'm gonna have a sip of wine here. Hold on a second here. Okay. I'm just going to transition the webcam back over for a second. By the way, to everyone that's here at the moment, cheers. This is to you. Let me see. I got to get all the names here that I can see in the chat who have actually identified themselves in the chat, as opposed to the people who are watching and remaining anonymous because they're ashamed to be associated with me. All right. Present arms. Here's to you. Kuria, here's to you. Stuart, here's to you. Nick, here's to you. Who else? John, sorry, Lance, here's to you. And John, here's to you. As I said at the introduction to this thing, I'm drinking professionally. So this is just, this is professional drinking as opposed to drinking just for pure pleasure at lunchtime, okay? All right, where was I? Lance, I actually think that Webmin is perfectly safe. As with everything else, and I'm going to just take a side note here. As with everything else, there are ways to lock things down. Now, I don't have, this is, like I said, a test machine. This is like purely for pleasure. I haven't done anything to lock this thing down in any way. This is just a demonstration machine. I create them on Linode. I blow them away when I'm done with them. I create new ones as the mood takes me. So these are not machines that I use on a regular basis. But because Webmin runs on port 10,000, you could create an IP tables entry that, input dash source that would have your IP address, so your.ip.add.ress. So you could have your IP address in IP tables, and then of course you could dash TCP, lock it down to TCP, and you could say dash port 10. Is it that dash port? I might have the 1000. So that way the only people who can access Webmin would be specific ports. Oh, 2 Panzer. My goodness. All right. Okay. Anybody else who comes in after this, I can't keep breaking the video, but 2 Panzer. There you go. Here's to you. Wow, this drinking professionally is hard. Like spelling. Yes, I know. Like spelling. Okay, let's get back to this for a second. So yeah, so I do trust it, okay? But as with anything else, you might not want to leave every single port and everything open to the entire world. You might want to lock it down for specific IP addresses and for specific users. Now, I did show you, I did create a user, and I said we could go back into Webmin now, and I could create a Webmin user so that I don't let a particular person access absolutely everything, okay? So I could say create a new Webmin user in here. And I'm going to say username in this case. I'm going to use, I just created Francois. And user interface options, language, blah, 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 security and limitations, available Webmin modules. This is the key here, okay? If all I want Francois to be able to do when he logs on to the system is, I'm making stuff up here, okay? But access the Apache web server, and I'll give him access to the Linux firewall. I don't want to give him access to anything, but I'm going to give him access to the firewall. Yes, if HTTPS is set up properly, present arms, you are correct. Oh, sure, I'm going to give him access to the file manager into a command shell. This is how much I trust Francois. But let's say that those are actually the things. Again, keep in mind, I'm just making this up, okay? I'm just pulling stuff out of a hat just for fun here. Let's see. I don't know. Webalizer log file analysis. I'm just making stuff up here. Actually, Webalizer is probably not installed in here, so I'm not going to do that. Anyway, I'm going to say create. So now I've got a user named Francois, who is actually a system user, as you know. I'm not changing his password here, but Francois can log into the system. So if I log out, so I'm going to go root here. Oops, that's the root user. Where's my log out here? It's funny. I usually just let it log out on its own. Where's log out? Where's log out? Webmin. Where's my log out? This is terrible. I'm not sure what log out is on here. Users and groups. Oh, there it is. Log out. Good grief. I couldn't see the little red door. All right, Francois, more wine. Sign in. Again, this won't be here later. I know you. Whoops. Francois. Spelling is hard. Oh, good grief. Did I go and do something weird? Okay, PASSWD Francois. Did I not give him a password? Did I not give him a password? Let's find out. All right, Francois. Sign in. As those of you who've been here before, you know this is a... What am I doing wrong with Francois here? All right, let's go back to root. Okay, what was the root password? What did I make the root password? Oh yeah, super secret. Whew! It was a super secret password. There we go. All right, so let's go back to my Webmin users. And I'm going to go back to my Webmin users, and I'm going to go to Francois. And maybe I need to actually password. All right, let's give him a password. Set to. Oh, all right, set to. We're going to use Unix authentication. We're going to use Unix authentication. And theoretically, that should work. All right. Now, before I go and log in as Francois, let's just take a look at some of the other things we can do here. Anything that is a system function that you can think of, whether it's doing a backup, whether it's checking disk systems, whether it's starting and stopping your MySQL database server, for instance. These are all things that you can do directly in here. Okay, change the password on here. This is actually a great way to administer a system from a distance. And let's go back to the dashboard up here just for a second. And I'm going to log myself out. And we're going to try Francois one more time using the admin. So there we go. Okay, 5th time is a charm. 5th time is a charm. There we go. So as you can see, Francois has very limited functionality on the system, although I gave him a command shell. So, obviously I trust him I trust him a great deal here. And of course, the command shell, you can do whatever it is. Whoops, htop. Oh, term environmental now. Okay, that makes sense. Let's just do that then. There we go. So we've given him a shell environment from the system. So obviously we trust him a fair bit. There's a file manager that we can upload and download things. And somehow I've given him access to the full system. Kids, don't do this at home, okay? I mean, well, you can install this at home, but don't give somebody that you don't trust full access to the system, okay? So let's log Francois out, and I want to show you one other thing before we move on, okay? Now, Webmin is particularly interesting because of this additional package here, okay? VirtualMin. If you are running a system that is going to host multiple websites, so right now I've just got there's nothing on the system, but if you're going to manipulate multiple websites, VirtualMin is fantastic because it will handle things like email for virtual domains. It'll handle if you could turn yourself into a website hosting service doing this as well. But I'm going to go and I'm going to say download here, and I'm going to say I'm going to copy link address. I'm going to go back in here, and then we're going to go say wget, and I'm going to say paste. There we go. Okay, VirtualMin server. Okay, check this out. dpkg-i VirtualMin. VirtualMin is a package. Webmin virtual. Excuse me. dpkg-i webmin dash. There we go. Dash virtual server. Let's see if it asks me for things as well here. And VirtualMin is cool because, like I said, anything that has anything to do with hosting service, Webmin restart. All right, so let's go back in here, and then I'm going to go back to my Webmin. All right, and I'm going to say root because obviously I want to go back in as root here. All right. All right, here we go. Here we go, logging in. Okay, and check this out. We now have VirtualMin. All right, we have to go through the post-installation wizard. VirtualMin has a whole bunch of additional things that it needs to install. So we're actually going to go through that process. Remember, if you wanted to be your own ISP and host multiple domains and multiple websites on a cheap server that you get from like Linode or whoever, this is a way to do it. This is a way to actually do this. So preload VirtualMin libraries. I'm going to say yes, 40 meg, who cares? Run email domain lookup server. Sure, why not? We're gonna go through as though we are setting ourselves up as a hosting service. Can't establish a connection to whoops. Next, if your system is going to host domains that will receive blah 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 blah. Next. Yes, I know consumers RAM. Spam assassin sounds good. Next. Run MySQL database server. Yes, we want to do that. As opposed, you could run Postgres as well if you wanted. We're going to go next. By the way, if you have questions, please, or you want to make some smart aleck comment in the chat, please feel free to do it. I'm going to have a sip of my wine in a second here. Set MySQL password. Sure, let's do that. Let's call it no access. I'm just making stuff up here. I'm not going to keep this, right? I'm not going to keep this. Oops, incorrect MySQL password. Oh, sorry. Set MySQL password. Override. There we go. Set MySQL password. Or we could just keep the root password. Let's call it no access. Just so that you can see what we're actually doing here. There we go. No access. Remember, this machine will not live beyond today. So, I'm not doing anything too terrible here. Yeah. Leave unchanged. Return to previous page. There we go. So I'm going to say next. Let me see. All right, return to previous page. We're just going to skip it. Next. 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 Claim AV. Spam assassin. Next. Next. Incorrect MySQL password. What? Set MySQL password. I did this. Yes, kids, we're not. This is without a net. Okay. Are you looking for the root password here? Super secret? No. All right, cancel. Let's skip SQL. Manage enabled features and plugins. Let me see. Save. Obviously, I set the wrong password and now I'm paying for it. Virtualmin's module configuration page. All right, so let's go to Virtualmin now. Okay, there we go. Virtualmin. Obviously, I don't have all my servers set up because I went and used the wrong password somewhere in there, but we can do things like here, account plan, so we can create a default plan, which means disk quota of 1024 or 1 gig for a particular customer. So all these things that you'd expect to make available to one of your customers. If it was one of your customers, you could set up here. By the way, I do host a number of domains for some of my customers, and yeah, I actually use Virtualmin. I actually do. It's a lot cheaper than cPanel because it's free, although there is a commercial package or a commercial plan that you can have with Virtualmin, but it's a lot cheaper. So let's say add server. I'm going to say add server. I'm going to say, let me see, Virtualmin, and whoops, I'm going to say create virtual server. And I'm going to create a domain. I'm making stuff up here. Let's make a domain up, shall we? Without a net.com. I have no idea whether this actually exists or not. Demo domain for CWL. Okay, so if this exists, sorry, does that exist? Let's find out. Without a net.com. Ha! It either doesn't exist or it either doesn't exist. I apologize. I didn't mean to scream there. It either doesn't exist or administration password. Oh, I don't know. SECRET. Sure, why not? Server template. Default plan. That's the account plan I told you about where we decide how much disk space we want to allow this particular user, okay? Now we get into advanced options, whether they've got access to mail enabled features. Do we do spam filtering for them? In other words, do you have local mail in this thing? Do we want to, let's say, yes, virus filtering, spam filtering. Let's do all that stuff. IP address and forwarding. We're not going to forward the domain anywhere, and I'm just going to say create server, okay? And it will go through and it will create everything for this particular domain. Yes, I know the database failed. I'm aware of that because I couldn't remember the password that I put, or I typed it in wrong or something. This is what happens when you do it live, folks. Okay, all right, so now we have a domain. Let's create a second one, okay, just for a laugh. Okay, let's go to Virtualmin one more time, and I'm going to create one more domain, and the reason I'm going to do that is I'm going to say create virtual server, and here's where it gets interesting. So without a net, if I want to create a second domain like site2.withoutanet.com, I can do a subserver, okay? And now I can do site2, and by default, see, I just tabbed over and it comes up site2.withoutanet.com, just like that. And now we can just say it's exactly the same settings that we have for without a net, and I'm going to say create server, and sorry. Yeah, I know there's no database. Sorry, I can't do it because of the database. But now I can have multiple domains. So I'm going to say top level server. I'm going to go back and do a top level server, and we're going to call it. Let me see, presentarms.com. I'm using you as an example, presentarms. I hope you don't mind. Secret. And I'm going to say create server on this one. And the reason I want to do that is I want to have at least 2 servers that I can show off here. I want to have 2 servers that I can show off here. Applying web server configuration. Let's just wait until this is done. And again, none of these domains exist, so I can't actually connect to the website to show you. But trust me, it works. And now if I go to Virtualmin, see, now under Virtualmin, I've got multiple domains, and under those domains, I can do all sorts of interesting things. Like let's say I want to go to presentarms.com. That'll be the one that I want to go. And let's say here, edit virtual server, for instance. server configuration. I can do things like define what PHP version is going to operate. Now, I don't have any of this stuff loaded at the moment, but there are a lot of things that you can do. Options, redirect the website, put it in a different location on the system, whether you run some kind of logging services. It's wonderful, actually. VirtualMin is wonderful. Webmin, if you just want to host and run your own server, okay? And if you want to host multiple domains on that server, on that same server, VirtualMin, and both of those are available at webmin.com. This is the fast and furious demonstration, so I hope that is enough to get you going. Webmin is the devil, John. John, like I said, there are ways to lock these things down. I've made him unhappy. All right, let's go over and do something completely different. All right, and now for something completely different. Today, this is the Linux distribution of the day. And I promised I would do this one because Present Arms asked me to do this. This is the distribution that he works on, Trinity Desktop on PCLinuxOS. And I haven't actually loaded it. I started loading it to check it out, but I never went through the whole process. So we're going to do it now. Forward, ISO image, browse, and I'm going to say in the ISO directory, community.tde PCLinuxOS 1606. That is the ISO that we're going to use. And if we go back to the web browser over here, you'll see that it is the latest version over here. The Big Daddy release, 64-bit, this one here. This is the one that we're using, okay? 2.1 gigabytes, this is the ISO file. And forward, we're going to give it 2048. Just for the record, I've got 12 gig on this thing, so lots of room. 12 gig of RAM, that is. I'm going to say forward, and we're going to call it Trinity. And I'm going to say finish, and the devil, I tell you. John really doesn't like the fact that I showed you how to use Webmin. The devil, I tell you. All right, John. The devil, he tells me. All right, let's make this thing a little bit bigger here. We'll go, you know what? Let's go full screen. Let's go full screen. PCLinuxOS. I'm going to have another sip of wine, by the way. Here's to the lot of you that are sitting out there right now. Cheers. There's a bull in the center. A bull. Should we take it by the horns? I don't know. I don't know what to do with bull. I suppose I could make some jokes with bull, but there you go. I'm not going to. I do love text boot up screens. I know it's not entirely a text boot up screens, but I do love seeing text scrolling in front of me. I know, it's old-fashioned. It's from the before time. Okay, all right. Leave full screen. I'm waiting for something to happen. It's probably happening in the background. By the way, to people who create Linux distributions, you know, if you decide to create something, it would be really, really cool. I would love it personally if you could make it so that it's always like a text screen so I can see something happening. Because if we're doing graphical stuff in the front, I can't tell that anything is happening. And that worries me, especially when I'm running a virtual machine. So, excuse me for a second. Tum-tum-tum-tum-tum. Have I mentioned this is live? And maybe I should go straight to the installation. Let's just do the installation directly because I'm going to say force off. Yes, force off. And I'm going to say boot, and hopefully we're booting up off the no bootable devices. All right, so hang on a second here. I'm going to say force off. Yes, and let's go to our virtual machine settings, view details, and I'm going to say boot options, performance. Let me see. Boot options. I want to boot off the. I want to boot up off the CD. Hey, let's say enable boot menu. What the heck? Apply. I don't usually do that, but let's do that. Oops. Okay, all right. What am I doing wrong? It's the devil. It's John's devil. He's cursing me. I know it. All right. Let's go back to... Actually, I'm just going to quit that, And I'm going to go to Virtual Machine Manager, and we're just going to do it from scratch on the off chance that I did something completely bizarre here that I'm going to pay for. So let's just go Virtual Machine Manager. Let's do it again. And I'm going to just say delete completely, and I'm going to say delete, and I'm going to say yes, and we're going to do this one more time here, okay? So I'm going to say new machine, and I'm going to say forward, and I'm going to take this ISO image here, the community ISO image, and I'm going to say forward. And I'm going to give it, oh, what the heck, I'm going to give it 4096. Let's give it more memory just for fun. I'm going to say 20 gig drive, so we're going to do this again. We're going to call it Trinity. I'm doing this really fast here. Trinity, and then I'm going to say finish, and now I'm going to boot it. And instead of this, I'm going to say install it directly. So let's go to the install menu, okay? Let's go straight to the install menu as opposed to doing this live. As opposed to doing the live CD. All right, John, is it still the devil? Ah, all right. Something is happening. Something is circling. By the way, I haven't tried this before. This is how these things fail on a live show. You haven't tried it before. You haven't gone through the process. You don't know whether it's actually going to work. Although, to be perfectly honest, I have done Webmin on other machines. It's just that I haven't actually installed it directly. There we go. Okay, the screen went dark here. We're waiting. We're waiting. Present arms. Are you there? Are you there? Can you make a suggestion? Can you make a suggestion? What am I doing wrong here? This should just work. This should just work. We're not going to do any snapshots here. This should just work. Am I just being impatient? Am I just being impatient? All right, I'm going to wait for a moment. All right, listen, while we're waiting for this, I'm going to remind you, I'm going to go back over here and remind you that this was brought by Linux Journal. Okay, that's my Patreon page. That's Linux Journal's Patreon page. And, oh, there we go, linuxjournal.com. Linux Journal, thank you so much for providing the space and some financial support to keep this show going. I do appreciate it. If you want to follow Cooking with Linux, cookingwithlinux.com. Trinity Desktop, which we are working on at the moment, is at trinity.mypclinuxos.com. Webmin, webmin.com. Even though John says it's the devil, I disagree with him. If you want cheap hosting, if you want to create a machine very quickly that you can run for a day and then delete, I do recommend Linode. Linode is a great company. I've been using them for years. These people know Linux. I mean, it's a super site. I do not work for Linode. I do not have any financial interest in Linode. I'm only mentioning them because I think they're kind of awesome. That is the only reason I'm mentioning them. And of course, Webmin, Virtualmin, which we're running over here. Let's Encrypt if you want a free domain. And let's just go back and see how this is happening over here. It's not happening. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. We might just have to leave this and try it again. We did this last time. We had Arco Linux. Not last time, but the time before that. I tried to run Arco Linux, and something just did not work. So this was a new Linux distribution that I thought I would try today, and for whatever reason, it is not happening for me. I'm going to pretend that there's something that I personally did wrong, and I will try to resolve what that something is between now and next week, and we'll give it another chance at that point. But again, today, hopefully you got enough of Webmin, and you don't believe John, who thinks that it's demonic, and we will leave it at that. Now, one last thing. I'm just going to fire this back up here, and I'm going to transition back to the webcam, and I'm going to thank everybody who joined me on the chat today. And by the way, I do take requests. If there's something that you'd like me to do, if there is a distribution that you want me to try live in front of everybody else, and remember, if I try it live, it might not work. So that's the catch. But if there's something that you'd like me to try or you'd like me to show off, do let me know. Leave comments. This will appear later on YouTube, and it will also appear on linuxjournal.com either later today or early tomorrow morning. And you can leave comments there as well. Please share this with everybody you know, friends, neighbors, relatives, enemies, dogs, cats, fish, whoever. Share it. Go on Reddit. Talk about it on Reddit. Talk about it with your local Linux user group. And let's see if we can build up the numbers over here. And, one other thing. I know my face is still up there. Let me get rid of my face for a second here. I'll transition back up here one more time. And the other thing is this. If you go to youtube.com and you go to youtube.com// free thinker at large. That is my channel. That's the Cooking with Linux. Although I play games here as well. I do a bunch of games as well. So if you're okay with me playing the occasional video game, which I do, even if you're not, you'll see, if you're not subscribed, you'll see a red subscribe button up here. Subscribe, leave comments on the channel. I try to answer comments whenever possible, and you know, be part of the community. Make it happen. Try Zorin OS. Stuart wants me to try Zorin. I will keep that in mind, Stuart. Let's go take one more look. I'm going to give one more chance over here and see if this is happening, okay? Transition. Let's not have, yeah, we don't have my face on the screen at the moment. We're good. We're good at the moment. So let's go back and take one more look here. And nope. It's just not happening. Present arms. I'm sorry. We're going to have to figure out what I did wrong, and I will give it another shot a little bit later on. Anyway, this is where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to say Control-Alt so I can free my mouse from here. And yes, I'm going to transition one last time to the webcam. And thanks for joining me. And hopefully I'll see you next time on Cooking with Linux Without a Net. Cheers, and take care out there. Remember, I do this for work, you know, so it's okay. Bye.